This is my Volvo 240, and although it looks okay and it drives okay, this wasn't always the case. And despite all that initial work and thinking it would take 2 or 3 weeks to get back on the road, it ended up taking 3.5 years. After getting the Swedish tank home, I could finally delve into what I could only describe as a financial ticking time bomb. A sunroof so perished it caused the interior to develop its own ecosystem, weight reduction in the form of rust, and a heavy iron block so poorly maintained that it refused to move. This is the story of my 1988 Volvo 240 making its way back on the road. We are replacing the bonnet hinges because, well, just the passenger side, because this one's broken. Tried welding it, but it doesn't work. I managed to finally find some. I've got a pair here. And that. Pair from a 262. They look identical, so hopefully they'll actually fit. Appears to be the correct side. Not the cleanest thing in the world, but make sure it fits. Do the bolt holes align up? Oh man. I don't think that fits. It's different. That is the only part that appears different on. Is this flat piece here. So, my solution right now, this is the one that I've tried welding. This fits the car. This is the new one that does not fit the car. So I'm going to grind off all of this old crappy weld, because, you know, don't know what I'm doing. And then take this piece out, give it a nice little clean up, bolt it back together with the new hinge, and then this bottom bracket should fit into the car, if my madness is correct. As I said before, it's not pretty by any stretch of the imagination, but it is more than functional. Fits like a glove. So I'm going to get that bolted in now and then get the spring on. So before I put that spring in, I'm going to check the alignment of everything. So I'm going to take off this little prop here. It's not actually collapsed on me this time. See how good we've got. So we're still sticking up here. So this will need moving back, and the other one can be moved down. So let's go ahead and do that. There we go. I mean, these scratch marks from a while back, but the body line is smooth now. So going over the parts for the project, we've got the new fuel tank, we've got some fuel lines, we've got some new hose clamps to connect the fuel pump, and this is the new fuel pump itself. You're going to see a few random jumps in this build. That's because when I started making videos on this car, I didn't expect the channel to have, you know, actual viewers. So some early jobs weren't filmed, either because I forgot, or because I was too busy losing a fight with Russ to think about cameras. This fuel tank bit is recorded, just sped up. Otherwise, you'll be watching me crawl around under a Volvo in real time. and nobody deserves that. This is the bit you really wish you had a lift. So I've got to put this up, screw it in, then I can put these hoses in from the top. Just can't really do it from the bottom. And yeah, we'll go from there. Let's send it. Keep all the cables in one place. I didn't enjoy that. Now it's the tricky bit of getting these hoses back onto the new thingy-my-bob and get it all pieced together. Right, they're on now, so we can feed the cable up. Get that plugged in, get the filler neck plugged in again, and we'll go change the oil. Right, so after a bit of a drama trying to get that thing in, I had to drop the tank again to get that in. Fuel system's back together, so we're going to drain the oil now. So the oil's almost done draining now. Once that's done, we'll top it back up. Right, so that is everything pieced back together in the engine now. I think we're ready to turn the key and find out if this thing will actually run or not. So here we go.
Almost, come on, come on. Yeah, it's not better now.
We got it started.
Well, I'm really happy for you, man, honestly. It's been a long time coming, and finally she's up and running. Fuck yeah, man.
So here are the 4 injectors. I'm going to get those cleaned up now. I'm actually quite excited to use one of these. I think it's pretty simple what to do. Plug it in and go. I did buy some isopropyl alcohol because, well, these use petrol anyway. And petrol's a lot stronger than this stuff is. I don't know if this will work or not, but I'm willing to find out. So, for a bit of context, I'm giving the K-Jet injectors a bit of a clean. Not because I had faith in the system, but because I was still pretending I understood what it wanted from me. You'll see later why this relationship didn't last. We'll see. This stuff's expensive in the UK. I don't know what it's like in the US. But that was like a tenner for a litre. Yeah, they'll all fit. Oh my god, that is strong. Woo! Right. Let's give you a cheeky little before and after. You know what? I'm going to time lapse this for you so you can see any before and after in progress. I don't know. reran this about 6 times now. You can see there's quite a bit of debris that's come off, but it's hard to say if that was on the outside or not. There's little baskets in here, little filter baskets, which you can't really replace, and that's likely what the issue is. Next on my list of things is the glove box. The cover for it was pretty loose and it just pretty much peeled off straight away. So I'm going to clear up all this old glue, put some new plastic adhesive on there, glue it all back together, and hopefully it should be gravy. Let's be honest, it wouldn't be a skids and donuts video without a messy workbench full of Volvo parts. But I'm going to mix up some plastic epoxy. This is super messy stuff to work with as well, so just so you're aware of that if you do this yourself, for any plastics. Just mix these two together. Marinate the plastics. Hell yeah. This was not the correct thing to use. Oh my god, I've messed this up already. Got some there. It's more at the bottom. Goodness me, what have I done? Oh no. I've made a mess. Oh no, what have I done? Okay. I'm just going to masking tape all of it. Because I don't have plans. I do have plans, I just don't know where the bloody are. I implore you all to marvel at my absolute genius. Just whilst we're on a brief intermission, I put the wheel nuts in there. Look at that. Oh, it's disgusting. This only stays on for like 3 minutes at a time. Whilst we are on that same intermission, this is a fuel tank bolt. I've only put 3 in there because I lost this one. Bit of a change in plan because I've got glue all over my safety glasses, so I'll be doing this without it. And I can't really fit the tripod under here either, but it's fine. Do need a new exhaust for this as well, but for now I'm going to patch weld it. Actually, now I'm looking at it, maybe not. I'll show the camera in a sec, because I've just found a load more holes in it. So the midsection is relatively new, which is that there, but the muffler section, it's covered in holes everywhere. So this will need replacing in the near future. Well, before I even go for an MOT, in fact. But I did want to get a full sports exhaust for this, and all the rubber. I mean, somebody just zip tied this on, but all of that needs sorting as well. But the 4th bolt is in, and I do need to get some gold tape to go here as like a heat shield, because I don't trust that. It's not very safe. So fingers crossed. Ooh, look at that. I've got a floppy gear stick. I do have new bushings for that too, so let's see. Oh my god. It has never cranked that well before, Jesus Christ. As you can see though, for whatever reason, it won't start. Oh. Thought I spoke too soon then. See if we can let it prime for a minute. Right, let's try again. Nothing. I think it's not getting the right amount of fuel. So if you've got a K-jet, in here is a lifting plate that determines how much air comes in. That plate will then lift up and determine how much fuel actually comes through to the injectors. Really simple system, but it can get clogged if you don't run the car enough. In this case, it was sat for about 12 years, and although I've ran it a few times, well, a number of times, it's still quite old. It could have, anything inside could have gone bad. But I found if I get a stick in there and push that plate up a few times to sort of move the plunger up and down, sometimes it will then allow it to work. But we'll find out. But the plate feels fairly solid at the minute. Solid as in good, not solid as in stuck. So I'll do that a few times. See how it works. Right, so now I've prodded the car's guts. Just trying to start it. I do want to get rid of the K-jet at some point because it's you can't really buy parts for it now, and the parts you can get for it, super expensive. Like that plate that I was just on about, they're about 350 quid new. You don't really want a used one, and I do not have the expertise to rebuild one. But let's see if that worked. Ooh, nearly. Come on. Maybe the cold start injector's playing up, dumping too much fuel in. Oh no, I've kept it unplugged. Sometimes that plays up the 5th injector. Let's plug it back in and just see if that is an issue. But I couldn't even get it to start off a brake clean the other day. Oh! Yes! Oh, it's dying though. I might hold the revs up for it. I'm happy about that. Maybe it was just needed a bit of the old English shiv, you know. But I'll hold the revs on this to let it get steady, and then hopefully reverse it up the drive a bit because it's almost in the road at the moment. So my question of does it not have enough fuel may be correct. You see that thing there? That should spray constant fuel as I crank, but it doesn't. So if you watch this, nothing. So I don't think it's getting the fuel it needs to for some reason. So I don't know what the next step is here. Maybe it is just the K-jet system's just that old and clogged now. But it's got a brand new fuel tank, brand new fuel. Ah dear. Don't know what the next best step for this thing is. I'm going to keep trying to play with it and see if I can come up with anything. But that should be, as soon as I crank, as far as I'm aware anyway, as soon as I crank, all 4 of those should spray at exactly the same time. And if one isn't spraying, that means the other 3 won't be spraying. Because you'll at least get it started on 3 cylinders, but it doesn't even do that. There's fuel coming out there, which will be from the 5th injector. But I'm surprised it's not even starting on the cold start injector as well. Because there's still some fuel there, albeit not much. But it's all pissing out of there instead. But it does start sometimes, it's super weird. I might get the old hammer and knock on the fuel distributor. And maybe even the, I forgot what that's called, cold start thingy. So just as a test for myself, I've got all 4 out, but I just want to see if any of them fire over. You're looking out for 1, 2, 3, 4 there. Yeah, they sprayed out the smallest little amount. I don't really get it. And it's pissing fuel through that. Oh my god. Look at the amount of fuel that's leaked onto the floor. I mean, what I've just noticed is that is soaking wet there. The fuel, the floor, sorry, covered in fuel. That covered in fuel. Let's see if we can get anything in there. Might turn the flashlight on. There's a small puddle of fuel there, but there is loads on the floor, like a lot. But where is that leaking from? I suppose that's not on fully, that's not on properly. Maybe there's an air leak, so I might take that off, see what I can get. Well, this plate is filthy again, and I don't know if you can see that very well. That's evaporating already, but that was soaked in fuel. So I think our culprit might be, yeah, it's a bit dirty as well actually. I think the culprit might be this cold start injector, but it starts sometimes without it, sometimes it starts with it, so maybe it's dumping way too much fuel through. So this here is the plate I was talking about, so that's your intake at the bottom here. As soon as air comes in there, this plate lifts up, depending on how much this throttle is open. So you open that more, that sucks more air in, which lifts this plate up more. So when it's like that and open, more air can come in, and that also lifts a plunger up in there, which allows more fuel to go through. So I just lift that up and down now and then until it's a bit looser. It probably wouldn't hurt to put some Shell V-Power in here, but I don't have a Shell garage near here at all. So I just lift it up and down quite a lot until I eventually get somewhere with it. But I've disconnected that 5th injector. I'll do that, I'll give it a clean as well, and we'll crank it over. Okay, so I've cleaned off the pressure plate now, refitted that. I've put the injectors back in, I've checked for air leaks everywhere. I've kept the 5th injector off for now, just in case that's putting too much fuel through. It shouldn't really be on today anyway, because it's like 15 degrees Celsius. So I'm going to crank it over and see if we can get it started again. It started a few times and revved quite fine, and then cuts out. So, fingers crossed. Nothing. Not even a slight tickle. We had a slight tickle then. Let's try putting the 5th injector back in. Pain in the arse this stuff is. If anyone's got an LH 2.4 kit or knows how to do it, please come over. The fuel pump's still going, I don't know if you can hear that. So my really bad idea of an experiment is I've got my file pushing the pressure plate up slightly, and I'm going to try and crank it and see if that forces fuel through. And if it does, that means the K-jet system needs a full rebuild. I even heard the K-jet go then. That might be too much fuel now though. But if you listen carefully, that screaming sound is the K-jet. That's the injectors, that's how they should sound. Oh man. Got this in order. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I'll take the 5th injector off now that I'm pushing more fuel through. I may have already flooded these cylinders though. A bit more air to match. Come on, not even a smidge. I can actually hear the injectors now though, I couldn't hear that before. There's our culprit. It's flooding the cylinder with way too much fuel. I don't know why it's doing that. Stop! Right, using a super weird angle. We'll open it up. Now this did only cost about 80 quid. And obviously it's a cheap Chinese unit, I get it. Possibly unreliable. We'll find out, that's the whole point of this. Let's find out together. You get a few adapters and an extra choke by the looks of it. And the actual unit itself. No instructions because you're supposed to know what you're doing. I don't really. So for a bit more context here, I spent weeks trying to diagnose and fix this Carburetor system to the point I replaced the fuel lines, rebuilt the fuel distributor, fit new injectors, and it did absolutely nothing. At which point I got so fed up with the Carburetor system, I hopped onto Facebook Marketplace, found an intake manifold for a carburetor, drove 2 hours to get it, come back, fit it on the car, and lo and behold, it ran first try. But whilst the manifold was good, the carburetor that came with it was heavily modified for banger racing, so it wasn't really reliable enough for road applications. It's quite light. But what it does have that mine doesn't is these choke flaps and everything else. Mine doesn't even have the, where is it? Mine doesn't even have a choke on it. So there's the current carb. You can see there's no choke on it. This is my really poorly made throttle cable for it. It's got vacuum blockers everywhere. But obviously the big important one is the fact it doesn't have the choke flaps and no way to, you know, use the choke. So when it's cold, especially in England, it doesn't start very well. But it does start and it does run. So the concept works. There is the new carb. And just from that alone, you can see what's missing. So this will hopefully be my saving grace and allow me to run the car efficiently and tune it with no prior knowledge on how to do it. So let's get to it. So as I mentioned earlier, I need to replace this with this because I've got a throttle, because I've got an actual cable which goes into there using the old K-Jet system. So I need to attach that to there, and I think that should be good. I don't know, we'll give it a bash and we'll find out. On my current carb, this is blocked off here, and this does come with a screw, so I'm wondering if that will block that. I don't know what that's for. I have no idea about carburetors. I've done as much research as I can, but I think this is one of these things you need to have extensive experience with. And I think for now, that's all I need to do. That is off. Oh my god, there's fuel everywhere. I should have thought about that before tipping it upside down. Now for some eagle-eyed viewers or carburetor experts, you may realise there's no fuel pressure regulator here. There was, but it was leaking tremendously. I've since fixed that, I think. But I also don't have a gauge because it's still not arrived after like 30 days. So it was somewhat useless to a degree anyway. But this stopped working at one point and I was trying to diagnose it. Turns out these spark plugs were just covered in soot. brand new plugs as well, so obviously way too much fuel going through. So I've not put that fuel pressure regulator back in yet, which for this Chinese unit, it may need it because apparently these can leak. Whether that's due to pressure or not, I don't know, but the weight difference is phenomenal. Well, that's not good. So, update. It doesn't fit. So after hitting those with a hammer, after filing these, it took too long. So I resorted to a 10mm drill bit, and it chewed through this in less than 5 seconds, I'd say, a corner. So hopefully now that's enough to fit. Fingers crossed. Ooh. Oh, beautiful. Like a glove. Excellent. Right then, let's get it screwed back on, get everything connected, and fingers crossed, it bloody works. Now, if you're wondering how I carb swap this, it was a K-Jetronic system, which is known to be quite reliable, unless you've let it sit for a prolonged period of time. Some instances being 2 weeks. Some people have said they've started having issues by leaving it. So I got rid of that because mine was set for 12 years and it was so unreliable how it started, and I replaced so many things. So if you want to know how to carb swap these, it's super simple. You keep the in-tank pump, that's perfectly fine. That runs around 7 psi apparently, and it's a high volume pump. Some people have reported 1 psi, I don't know. Even if it is 1, this runs off 1 psi as well. You can go up to 2 psi, I believe. So, in-tank pump, keep that. Remove the main fuel pump under the car and the accumulator, and just run the fuel line straight from the tank. I went from a 12mm line to a 12 to 8mm adapter. I'll try and put pictures as I go along. And then a fuel line all the way to the front of the car into a fuel filter. And in your case, also use a fuel pressure regulator and use a gauge as well, just so you know what's coming through the other side. And that worked. I kept the old K-Jet injectors in, so there's no air leaks there. And I got a manifold. I managed to get this for 100 quid with the carb. But these brand new, you can still buy them brand new for around 300 quid, which is a bit much for me, but for you it might be perfectly fine. You can buy a whole carb kit for about £1,000 from Classic Carbs UK, I believe. They do genuine Weber, not this cheap Chinese unit I've managed to source off eBay. Overall, it was pretty simple, and if I can do it, so can anybody else. One thing I've discovered is do keep both fuses for the fuel pumps in, otherwise your fuel relay won't work. So that's fuse number 4 and fuse number 6. 6 is the main underfloor pump, but keep both fuses in. That way fuel relay will still work. Look at that. Snug as a bug in a rug. I don't have a choke cable yet. Just kind of figuring out the best way to do it. Might just have a switch on the dash that does it. Wire it straight from the battery, fuse it, have a switch, done. And then I can choose when the choke's on and off. That is installed for all intents and purposes. Apart from the fuel line, which again is also temporary. The fuel line isn't, but how it's positioned is. Because I do want to get a gauge in here as well. So if I have any issues in the future, I can actually just double check. Pressure's fine. I think, guys, we are ready. Crank it over. Right, keep an eye out. I'm going to go and see if it works. If it blows up, then call someone. That's a good sign. Yes. So it starts, it just doesn't idle. So I'm going to try and adjust those idle jets. I don't know what I'm doing. I guess I need to open them. I don't know. That's some thumb screws. I don't know which way is left and right from backwards. My brain doesn't brain. See if that's too much. Yes, it does still have really bad piston slap. Might adjust this so it's open a little bit more. So the only thing that lets this drivetrain down is the piston slap. Right, engine wobble aside, I've got a fix for that right there with some new engine mounts. That is idling nice and smooth. It's getting up to temp and we're at, what's that, 800 RPM, 700, 800 RPM. Nice. My fuel gauge doesn't work, even though I've got a brand new sender in it, which is a bit annoying, but look at that for an improvement. gross. So looking at the new one and the old one, I've never seen these weird ribbons for the actual light cluster before, but yeah, I think I need to get this plastic piece here to fit these. I'm not too sure yet, I might need to figure it out. I've got a really long ground cable as well. Oh wow. Oh, we got lights. It's daytime, but that's the difference. Those two are on. I've got light. We do. Let's test all of them. Hang the battery a bit. Oh, that's epic. That one there still doesn't work though. And these are just reflectors, I believe. Or brake lights. But I need to fix this one. I've got myself a new steering wheel. Now before you judge me for the colour, this is the only one they had in stock. I kinda like it, but if I change my mind at any point, I can either swap out the wheel or I can just paint this. It's just metal. But I think it looks pretty cool. So we're going to try and stick this on the car now. Hopefully everything fits. Now to fit the wheel to the car, you're going to need something called a Boss kit. I got mine from Momo. And that's where the steering wheel goes, and that's what goes into the car. And then there's some accessories in there as well, to make sure the horn works. Now the reason I'm replacing the wheel is because the horn is held in with springs and clips, and unfortunately that piece is all broken, and I'm not going to risk repairing it. And trying to find that horn cover anywhere, next to impossible. I'm going to keep the wheel just in case I want to go back in the future, but for now, it's getting replaced. Now first things first, under the wheel, there are 2 Phillips head screws, and there's one in there as well. And I believe that's all of them. So we'll get those out, and then we'll try and get this off, which is a 27mm nut. Now I will say, for the sake of the video, don't replace your steering wheel if you have an airbag. It's completely unsafe. If you get in a crash, you'll lose all your teeth. You can just go ahead and get your steering wheel retrimmed, and that's the better option. There's 2 more bolts at the top as well. Didn't see those. Oh, they're Torx. Those ones just there at the very top, they are Torx bits, so I'm going to get the Torx kit out. Okay, those Torx bits are out now. I think, yeah, that just comes off like that. Again, I'm really hoping I don't break anything. I feel like I will. Can't see any more bolts, but it's not coming off. Clip store, want to risk pulling it? little latch here. Oh, no, nothing broke. Win. That pulls off at the side there, and there's one more Phillips head. Beautiful. There's some debris in there. Human finger juices. I'm going to get the keys, I'm going to straighten the wheel out, and then we're going to remove that centre bolt. Get your rugger dugger. Or a breaker bar. Well, the wheel's not straight anymore. Sweet. Get one of these, they're so good. Ryobi, if you want to sponsor me, please send me free tools. I don't have a fan base yet, but there we go. Oops. There's the old wheel with the washer. You want to keep the washer. And of course, being my car with no no windshield, it's got water in it, so I just keep microfibers in this car. Ugh. We'll be getting a windshield soon, which is nice. And now we're looking to the boss kit. This is the boss kit. Apparently it's for a 240, but it's got this notch, which this does not. So that might need to get chopped, which is unfortunate because it costs £80. We've got some cables, power cable. Apparently the power cable for this is always live. So when you press the horn, it just grounds it out and lets your horn go. So I need to figure that one out. There's the horn. This was connected to the boss kit, which I didn't think was needed, but upon further reflection, I believe it is. So we're going to push that back through there. So the boss kit now, the wheel was slightly crooked, and I did take note, but it's hard to gauge without the wheel on. That should... Perfect. Then we'll get the wheel, make sure it's... I think it was like slightly that way. I'll check the video, make sure I know where it was. And that just stays in there. I'm going to use this very slowly to make sure I don't cross thread anything. It's perfect. No issue there. There you go. That's not going anywhere. You do torque this to about 60 Newton meters. I'm going to cut all this bit out. The camera's probably going to be quite shaky. I'm balancing the tripod between the chairs and myself. Whoops, I need that. I don't want to round these off either. Check out that. So, I know I'm going to get judged heavily for that. But again, it is the only colour they had in stock. And I really wanted to get a wheel on. This car's too close to the finish line, but that is not going anywhere. And they're really strong wheels as well. But hey, in the future, if I want to change it, I can just paint it, or I can buy some more wheels and I can just bolt them on now. But that is the steering wheel done. You hear that? Or the piston slap? And in the rear, it's also having far too much blow-by, so there's too much smoke, so there's too much oil going through the piston rings and burning through out the exhaust, essentially, because of the piston slap, I believe. But there is a ton of smoke that comes out the back once it starts warming up. So I've come up with a bit of a solution. The solution involves this BMW 325D. and what's in the back of it. Open up. Open. Oh. We've got a 65,000 mile engine in the back of a BMW. It's a normal B200E, but it's a extremely low mileage, and I get things like a start motor, power steering pump, everything. And I've got all the K-Jet stuff as well, which probably works, unlike my old stuff. This will still be carb swap though, because I've already done it all. So the plan is to try and get this out without breaking anything. I've already damaged this a little bit from being a bit bone idle, but it's fine. I've also managed to snag the N47 gearbox with the engine too, which I'm happy about. So we're going to get that out, put that in the garage, and then deal with my custom lowering springs and get this engine out of there. It took 2 people to get it in, so I'm not sure what's going to happen. It does need a bit of a clean-up. There's the gearbox, and the gear shifter doesn't need the bushings changed, which is nice. That's the best I'm going to get it for now. I was supposed to have my mate come today to help, and he was more than willing, but when it snowed overnight, I didn't really want him driving over in an MX-5 with summer tyres on, or sports tyres on for that matter. So I told him not to come, but we should get there. I think we've got it. Yes. There we go. Look at that. Again, a 65,000 mile engine. I'm hoping the clutch is in good nick. Might need a bit of cleaning up, but overall we're looking pretty good. The coolant's a bit crusty. Let's try and get a flashlight on. Ooh, that's pretty bad. So we probably need to clean that out. I've not actually checked if this turns over yet. Harmonic balancer seems like the rubber's okay, but this needs cleaning and painting. The downside is the 240 is in the way of the driveway. There we go. Which that's the space I've got, or I've got the grass, which is muddy and slippy, and I'll probably bog it down. I figured it was easier to move this into the road, because yes, it does run and drive now. And she's still smoking now. I may have overestimated where this engine can go. I was going to put it in the spare wheel there, but how do I get the engine crane to spin around? There's a slight lip there, so I can't turn it around in this tiny little dungeon. So the 240 is now in the garage. I'll put it on a spare tyre. It took some work. The bike's gone now, but it's in, so I'm going to try and crank it over, see if it actually spins, because I haven't checked that yet, stupidly. The bloke did say it's been sat for a couple of years, so if I can't turn it by hand, when I take the spark plugs out anyway. If I can't turn it by hand, then I'll chuck some ATF and acetone type thing down, let it soak, try and turn it over, see what happens. And then eventually we'll work on getting that out. I've ordered a gazebo so I can actually work in the rain and snow that we've got at the minute. Get that engine out and the transmission, pair it up with the new ones once they're all clean, chuck that in, and hopefully we're all good. I'm still keeping it as a carburetor purely because I've already changed the fuel lines on the 240 for a carburetor, and where are they? I'd need to press new lines in for the K-Jet anyway, and I don't trust K-Jet. I don't trust it unless you've driven it every day for the last 30 plus years. It's a pile of garbage, in my humble opinion anyway. And luckily for me, with no effort whatsoever, it turns over. That's with spark plugs in, and it turns absolutely beautifully. It's nice and warm today, which means getting on the floor to start removing pieces for the transmission is going to be easy. It's that cold, my antifreeze is frozen, so that's good. I've seen so many people remove this one piece here, but I can't. I've unbolted everything to find out it's welded in. I'm going to attempt to remove the engine and transmission as one unit, hopefully. And I think in order to achieve that, I just need to move. I can't even open the door, goddamn. I just need to get the gear shifter out, which is fine. And look how much slop is in that. That's first gear. Look at that. So I'm going to get on the floor. I'm going to start taking bits of the transmission off. I've already taken all the fuel line off, the electrical connections. I need to take the exhaust off. The power steering's off. I'm keeping that all attached so I don't have to, you know, do more work. Right, I can't time lapse this bit because my camera doesn't fit underneath the car. However, the drive shaft is out, the transmission support is out. I do have a new bushing for that as well, or transmission mount. So I need to now get that pin out so I can take the shifter out, and that will make my life much easier getting this whole thing out. So I understand there's probably a more conventional way to do this, but I'm on a driveway, man, with a rented engine crane, and it may have been easier to take the whole gearbox off, but we're here now. can't wait for the comments on this video. You should have done this, you should have done that. You know what? I got it out on my own in minus 5 at the minute.
Yeah.
So we have had some leakage. You can see the rear main seal looks like that's leaked, or it's the oil pan gasket. I'd go for this because it feels quite hard now, and these should be pretty soft. But it doesn't matter because this will get a full rebuild. Today we're putting the new engine into the Volvo. I've been out here for a few hours already just prepping this engine. I haven't recorded anything. The gearbox, for some reason, I've changed the bell housing now, but now the car doesn't go into gear like at all. So I've probably broken something and I don't know what. So I need to figure out that, and it did leak bucket loads of transmission fluid, which is really annoying. However, because I've only got this crane until the end of the week, I need to get at least the block in at minimum, which will make it easier getting it in. So the next steps is taking things off the old engine that were new, like the engine mounts, and I think that's it actually. And I've already moved the intake manifold over with the carburetor. So yeah, the only thing on here now is the engine mounts, and then put those on that engine. That engine can then go into there. So that's the plan. I think I'll time lapse it again just because it's easier and it takes way less data and battery on the phone. Let's get to it. The engine is in, the mounts went straight down. Took a bit of fiddling because of how I did the chains, so it's pulling up more at the front, which I thought would help, which it did a bit, to be fair. But I mean, if you've got someone that can help you do this, great. I got it out by just taking out the 3 bolts on the subframe. That was the easiest one. You just get an impact up there. Get some WD-40 on first if you've not done it before, because they will be rusty. But she's in. I'm going to bolt her up, and I feel like I need to support the engine still, just so it doesn't lean back loads without a gearbox in there. So I'll get to doing that, and I'll show you the end results. Well, the weather's being weird again. It was -5 yesterday, and now it's sunny and warm. I don't really understand. So there is the carnage of the gearbox oil. I've moved it there and it's still leaking, so I've done something. Whether it's the little metal gasket isn't in place or what, I don't know. And I think I know what I've done here. As you see, it doesn't actually turn. I think I've bent this, because I've tipped it up on itself, and I think that's bent. I mean, this just bolts off anyway, but it's still a bit of a pain, so I can just put my old one on. I've got new bushings as well. But for the most part, she's ready. I'm going to try flush out the block now with a hose. As best I can anyway. That's looking a bit crusty, so I might want to replace that at some point. I do need to replace the water pump. I need to bolt up the power steering pump, put on the alternator, and eventually we can get the transmission up. Okay, so we're going to start with the alternator. This is the one from the old engine, which I know works. And at the minute, this one's untested, but it is lower mileage. So I think I'll swing this one on first. They're pretty easy to change anyway. Situation. That is where the thermostat goes. And that is, I don't even know what that is. It's like salt, almost. But that is absolutely everywhere. Goes through the channels down there. Oh, that is far from good. It does smell like coolant, so it could be a build-up of the old glycerin. But I'm going to need to dig all of this out and see what I can do. I do have some radiator flush, but it's not going to do much for big deposits like that. That's going to need to manually come out. But I don't know how extensive that is. I mean, I saw the water pump, as did you, but that just looked like gunk more than anything. This is solid. It's like sugar. I can tell you now, there is no fun in using a hose when it's this cold outside. I can safely say I don't think I've ever had that before. So I've got to hope now that the radiator flush will get rid of all of that, hopefully. But the good news is I've completely forgotten how this radiator goes in. I think it just slots in like that. And it's on top. Why did I put you in first? Yep. There you go. Oh, she's looking better by the minute. She is looking better by the minute. Okay, so we've got everything bolted up, we've got all the electrical connections added, we've got those timings set, those are back on. I need to add the radiator fan still. Right, where's my keys? Where's my keys? There you are. So it is, it's a bit warmer today, but it is still a bit nippy, so it might not start right away. But let's see. Look at that. Ah. It just needs a bit of help getting started. Give it a rev for you. We're making progress on this 240. It is getting close now. So close. So today we're going to be fitting the lowering springs and we're going to be fitting the rear brake calipers, which are down there somewhere. I still need to find them and dig them out. So let's get to it. So, as obvious as it may seem, I do want to soak as much as I can with some WD-40. I know a lot of people have their own preferences on what to use, whether it's, you know, if you're in the US, you have things like PB Blaster and whatnot. But in the UK, we've got WD-40. You can probably mix up your own solution if you really wanted to. But this is what I've got, so it's what I'm using. Now, whilst we're waiting for that to soak, I thought I'd show you the parts list that I've got. So, we've got brand new discs for the rear. There's the shoe part. There's the actual disc part. They are solid. For the rear, they should fit. We've got brand new calipers, just to be on the safe side. And brand new pads. I mean, the rears don't do much for stopping any car, really. I did buy some rubber hoses, but I'm sure you're probably aware, if you're a bit of a Volvo nut, they're not for this car. They are probably for the wagon. I'm not too sure, but mine are solid at the rear. And then we've got some various bushes, brand new. I think these are for the tramp bar. They're for the control arm, or these ones are. I need to look at what's there already. And then, of course, the fun part is the brand new lowering springs. And I've also got the new little top hat things. I don't know what they're called. Retainers. There you go. Retainer washers. They keep the springs in place, but they rust out like mad. Oh, it didn't slip. That would be excellent news. Yes. We make progress for once. I was hoping I wouldn't have to make new lines, so at the minute that's one less line I have to make. Until we try the other side and find out that's, you know, completely gone. So I've come to the conclusion that the brakes are going to be significantly easier to take off if the suspension's out the way, because all I'm doing is ripping up gloves and I can't get a bolt there, and I'm already risking stripping it out. So we're going to try this, see what we can do. And then hopefully get this thing off the car. Now, a lot of people don't like using impacts on old cars. I find with rusty stuff in particular, you are far less likely to strip it out if you use impacts. With the proper socket as well. You know, you don't need to go crazy, but I don't know if anybody else does the same. It's just what I do. Not on everything. Some things I'll try with a socket first, like say brakes for example, but suspension in particular, impact is your best friend. Come on, buddy. There you go. Oh. I mean, to be fair, that's how easy it is to change the shocks on a 240. Well, fellas, it was a palaver, but I managed to get the spring out. There it is. Now comparing the new springs to the old ones, of course they're not compressed yet. There we go. You can see the condition. That side's not too bad. The rubber seal's still soft. It's not torn, but this side, there you go. That is torn. That may have been from me, but the whole thing wasn't good. This one was seized on. I couldn't even push the pistons back. Keep that safe. Come on. There we go. Bloody hell. Okay, so that goes at the top, I believe. I can press it down as well. That worked bloody quick. Okay, stay there, please. Like a damn glove.
Yeah, you stop pedaling, then you fall to the side, balance base, rubber brake.
Brand new caliper. I will grease the back of these. Holy smokes. Look how much better that looks. So I have given it a nice clean. I've done a lot of the undersealing as well. I've currently got it up on ramps to try and bleed the cooling system even more again, because it still runs hot. So I've got it up in the air just in case I can get any more out, which some did come out as soon as I went up the ramps. It went. So the next step really is try and bleed this out a little bit more and then head over to this MOT appointment, because that is in half an hour's time. I still need to drive it there and hopefully it makes it. The gearbox or the diff is whining. I don't know why. I do have a spare gearbox anyway, which is a lower mileage, or significantly lower mileage one than the one I've got. So that might be a job in the future. I'll replace the clutch and the recondition that gearbox, slap it all in, see what happens. Right then, we're about to drive it, and scared isn't the word. Starts right up, choke works. The blower motor, I forgot to say, the blower motor is dead, so I've got to do that. And the reason I might seem stressed is because if it fails, I can't drive this back home. It has to stay there to either get repaired there, or I need to rent a tow truck to bring it back, or pay somebody to bring it back for me, which is expensive in the UK for some reason. So I'm going to drive over there. I can't record my drive because it's illegal to hold your phone whilst driving, but you'll see if I make it there or not. So surprisingly to me, I made it to the MOT centre. I did panic it was going to overheat. It didn't. It was still warm, but it wasn't in the red. So fingers crossed it passes now. You know, MOTs are very strict in the UK, so we'll see what happens. There she goes. I got the Volvo back to have its MOT. It passed. It passed flying colours. It's got one advisory for underseal. I think they have to put that on there. It passed. I can't believe it's bloody passed.
God.
Right, I've got my daughter filming whilst we go for a quick spin, and see what it actually looks like when it moves around. So it did donuts perfectly fine, and it drives wonderfully. So we're going to put 1.8 to 2 litres in this. If I can get that thing in and get my arm under. Well, I managed to get the full 2 litres in. You have to, you know, jack the car up to one side. This is the old oil. It's not really looking too fantastic. I mean, it's worn out for sure. But we've got this new stuff in now. Even if this is only temporary, if I get a bunch of comments saying don't use this whatsoever, you know, the that one, then yeah, I'll change it to Type F. If you're curious what a blown coolant line looks like, it's like that. Fantastic. Now I did have a solution to remedy that, which was to make my own hose. That didn't go to plan. That's as far as I could get a bend, and as soon as that goes in the car, at a 90-degree angle, it bends. I couldn't get it to bend more than that, even with the whole boiling water then freezing it. So I had to regrettably drop 30 British pounds on this piece of rubber hose. It's got like 2 bends, And obviously I've got the hose clamps for it, so I'm gonna pop that in, pop the antifreeze in, and see what happens. So the hose that goes from here to here, which is the heater matrix to the heater control valve, I think that's what that's called, that had a split in it, probably from when I put it back on. Something I didn't really notice or neglected to check properly, and it sprayed antifreeze everywhere. I've since got the shop vac on it and it's better, it's dried out, but we still need to put that new hose on. As the hackers in any great movie say, I'm in. Gotta admit, it is a bit of a ball ache trying to get that thing in and out with the hose clamps, but we did it, and that means it's got a new heater fan, which all works. It works tremendously well. It worked so well that it blew a hose off. Anyway, on with popping some coolant in again. Right, so we did lose about 3 to 4 litres. Yep. So we're gonna get the filler thing on and then chuck it all down, see what happens. So you can see the coolant going down, the bubbles coming up, that's good. However, I think I lost a bit more than 3 to 4 litres of coolant. A lot more than 3 to 4 litres of coolant. From how many times I've had to do this bloody process now, from the fact of all the overheating, the gunk in the engine, everything. I could have just reused some clips, but you get fresh clips today. I don't know how many people actually view the little posts that I put on, like the community posts, but I did post a picture of what the inside of that whole little airbox looked like, and it was just peppered with leaves and debris and a few bugs. It wasn't fun to clean, I'll admit that, but we did get it clean. And whilst we're in the garage, the hose that popped off was this one. You can see the split there. It just, I mean, if you look at the top, I shouldn't have missed it. It was pitch black when I was doing it, so it's easy to miss little things like that, but I think just the pressure from it all actually working disintegrate the hose. But 30 quid for a new part, it's expensive for a rubber hose, but it's a genuine Volvo one that works. Right, let's see how we're doing on this front. She's getting a little bit warm. She is warm, but she does have a lot of air in the system, so I'm going through the process now of, you know, squeezing the hoses, getting as much air out as I can. And if you look carefully, that is almost at the center, which I'm very happy with. It's still pretty cool, so there's a bunch of air trapped in the radiator, but let me show you what was inside this heater matrix. If I can, it's probably all turned to dust now. All of this, it was pebbles like that size. All of this dust here, I mean, it was actual pebbles, but I've been squishing them for no reason whatsoever. Right, so we're finally on the road, and so far so good. The temperature seems stable. I'm not overheating. The hose hasn't pinged off yet. She just bloody goes! Oh, I'm so happy. Every time I've driven this car, I'm always smiling so much. Ah! God, it goes quick. It really does. I think even people don't understand behind. Like, if they're pulling up, you can just see them go, ah. I'm in front of the slow car, and it just goes. Beautiful. Amber lamps. Legendary, those guys are. On the 240, you've got your mileage and your trip counter. Normally they break if you press this in whilst the car's moving. I did exactly that and it broke. So I need to repair that, especially now it's driving. But apparently it's quite easy to replace. You just got to start yanking things out, yanking things off there. Like that. And then, I don't know, take it apart. I will also use it as an excuse to take my steering wheel off, which you don't need to do to get this cluster out. But there's two reasons. Number one, I didn't put it on perfectly straight. So I need to take the hub off, turn it, put it back on. But I also just want to, I don't know, quickly spray paint this black. I don't like the chrome. Anyway, back onto this. So we need to pull off these little knobs. So your dimmer switch, your actual light switch, and then that should pop off. I've had this off a couple times now. Yeah. Just be careful not to snap them. Although I found the dashboard plastics are a lot more forgiving than, say, like the A pillar, B pillar, in my opinion anyway. I've taken off this little weird switch. I still don't know. Where's it gone? I still don't know what that switch is supposed to do. That's the clock bezel. So I think we've got 4 Phillips heads. Let's just move those down. So I have actually been driving this car around a bit. I've driven it enough that I've drained a tank of fuel. I wouldn't say I've done more than 100 miles, I wouldn't think. But as I say, it's done a lot of testing, a lot of idling, a lot of putting my foot down to the floor, testing the carb, etc. So I'd like to know what my MPG is. I can't check my MPG without this working. Here we go though, here's the grand reveal. Ooh. Hey, look at that. 250,000 miles. I think before we crack on with the odometer repair, I think it might be a good idea to get this thing painted up. Because the quicker we get this painted, the quicker it can dry and go back onto the car. I'm just going to use some normal window cleaner as the degreaser. I say it's not going to be sanded or anything, it's just going to be a quick little spritz around with a rattle can. You know, I'm not touching this middle part, so we should be in for some okay looking results. Probably should have put a bit of primer down, but who's got time these days, you know? It's due to rain in like 10 minutes. Without further ado, let's take this off. It's all of these outside screws according to Mr. Involvoed. So let's take them out. Whoops, without doing that. Ooh, here we go. Right. Let's I think this just comes off. Please tell me it does. Don't bend or anything. You know, it would have been cool to do here. Do you remember the old Need for Speed games? Need for Speed Underground, where you could have custom tachometers and whatever and gauges. I could have done that. I could have had like a 240 logo printed or something. That would have been cool. Yes. I believe it's in here now that we have to go. So flathead there, flathead there, and they should come off, and the gears in there that we need to replace. If that is indeed the issue. I recall hearing a crunch, but that was 3 years ago. It feels like this whole circuit board's lifting off instead of just this. Come on, fella. Come on. Yep. Okay, we'll keep that connected. And it's this here. Yes. You can see, oh dear. You can just see 2 teeth right there have snapped off. So where's my replacement? There it is, up there. There you go. Looks about the same. So now needs to go that way around. We should be able to just pop that off. Yes. And then pop you on. Excellent, we've now got a working odometer again. Let's carefully try and put this back on without falling. And then we'll put these little flatheads back in. There we go, that wasn't too bad. You want to make sure those little connectors there, they go into. Oh, I can check the bulbs as well whilst I'm here. I forgot about that. Let me get this bolted in, and then we'll check out the bulbs. So, if I had to hazard a guess, it is these two that are the bulbs for seeing, which that one's blown. I may have some of these, actually. I may have them. It's these ones. I think they changed them in 1990, where it's all one piece. Those ones. W5W, 12 volts. I don't know, just type that in, I guess. And just like that, we are all back together. The steering wheel took a bit of damage, but the paint did come out pretty good, considering I did no prep on anything. So, yeah, I think I caught the screwdriver on it. Little bit annoying, not the end of the world. It looks a million times better now. So I reckon now it's about time we actually get on the road, test it out, and I'll try and figure out a way to mount the camera there. We'll see. In my defense, I never said it would be perfect, but it is a mole grip holding a phone mount. Okay, I think we're okay somehow. We'll make it work. Yep, let's turn all these off. Right, as long as this bottom one here moves, we're good. Should we see if the lights work? Can you see that? That means the backlights work, which is good. That's exactly what we wanted. So let's try and do this thing. Hopefully not knock my camera setup off. So there is 3 years of my life condensed into one video. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I thought it was going to be a quick build, and it wasn't. But you know what? I have learned so much on this car that I would do it all over again in a heartbeat. And let me just say, if you have stuck around this far, you are an absolute legend. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you again in the next video.